Hello everyone, I'd like to welcome you to tonight's presentation of OTF Connects. We've got Beginner Google Classroom with Jacqueline Calder, and we're really thrilled that all of you have managed to join us tonight. And I see a lot of familiar names from OTF Connects and also from OTF Summer Institutes last summer. So we're really thrilled that you guys are continuing to access some PD through OTF Connects. And on behalf of Surya Skirhan, who's the administrator and facilitator of the program, she certainly extends her thanks as well, especially since this is your own time. And I know some of you might still be working on report cards, maybe just finished submitting them this week, and we know that your time is at a premium. So thank you. And we also thank Jacqueline for being here and offering this session for us. I know some of you might have done her Beginner Google Drive one or participated in some of her other sessions, and we're always thrilled to have Jacqueline with us. So Jacqueline, I'm going to hand things over to you right after I get our little snapshot of the map in here, and Jacqueline will get us started.
Thank you, Louise. Welcome everyone to Google Classroom for Beginners. I'm going to start off, and I'm going to do this part right away because I want to make sure that everyone has access to the tools before they spend an hour and a half doing this. So I'm going to explain exactly what you need. Now, even if you don't have access to it right away, of course you're welcome to stay and play and learn. Maybe I know in the past when we've done sessions on Google Classroom, people were advocating in their board to have access. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear all those check marks. Yep, so they're all cleared. And I'm going to ask anyone who knows for sure that they have Google Apps for Education access through their school or their school board to throw a green check mark up in the box. So if you know that your board provides you with Google tools, maybe you have a Google login, you don't have to have access to Gmail. Like in my school board, we have access to Google Drive and all of the Google apps, but we don't use Gmail. We use Microsoft actually for our email. Because Google Classroom is built on Google Apps for Education. Most Google tools are free to anyone and everyone, and you can just access them by making your own personal Google account. But Google Classroom is a little bit different. So I'm looking at the green check marks, and I'm seeing 2 or 3 maybe that aren't checked off, and maybe you just don't know for sure. Maybe what I'm asking sounds a little bit like Greek, and that's okay too. If you have any questions about it, now is the time to ask. Go for it. And maybe you're just interested in learning a little bit about how Google Classroom works so that you can advocate for it at your board if you don't have it, or your school, depending on where you are. Or maybe that's a good point, Louise. Maybe you're not sure where the check mark is. And on the left-hand side, you see the word participants. And then I see my name. You'll see your name below the word participants. And then you'll see 4 icons. And on the right icon, you can choose the green check mark from there. But I would say we have a majority. I'm not looking at any big gaps here. So if, don't be worried about, it looks like, most of us have access. If you have any questions about having access, then just let us know in the chat or raise your hand and you can grab the microphone. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to clear all those check marks now. And I'm going to ask, I always say elementary green and secondary red, but let's flip that around. If you are secondary, let's see a green check mark. And if you are, secondary is green, elementary is red. Just for some background, I'm a secondary teacher. I have been a consultant and worked on lots of projects in elementary schools as well. So I have an understanding of some of the differences. I'm not immersed in the curriculum by any stretch of the imagination or the realities of an elementary school, but I have spent long periods of time in elementary classes working alongside of teachers as a consultant. So we have a really good balance tonight, which is great. And because we're just going through, this is a very technical session. A lot of the time our OTF Connect sessions are focused on using technology for a specific goal. And like if we're looking at Google Classroom, there's some really good teaching practices embedded. It makes a descriptive feedback a lot easier. But tonight we really are stepping through the tool, stepwise through the tool. And I am going to be, and maybe now is a great time to do this, I am going to I'm going to try our beloved web tour. I have a love and hate relationship with our web tour. So what I've tried to do is to make our wiki show up on the page in the middle of your screen right now. So we should start to see Welcome to the OTF Connect session in the middle of the page. Can I get a check mark for anyone who sees that in the middle of the classroom? A green check mark. Oh, yay. I'm seeing some green check marks. Okay, so those with the red, if it's not showing up in the middle of the room yet, in the middle of the screen, doesn't say Welcome to the OTF Connect session, then in the chat, no, it shouldn't be blank, Chris. It should be starting to populate, but there are some times when it acts finicky, and with this many of us in the room, it might act a little finicky tonight. So what we've done is you see the link in the chat, googleclassroom.wikispaces.com. If you click on that, okay, so for any of you with a blank screen, click on that link, and if it's circling and doing the circle of death, waiting for web tour, then click on that link in the chat, and it should open the exact same page up in a browser. So you'll still see it, it'll just be flipping back and forth between a window there. So I'm going to give a second just to let you click on that link in the chat to see how it goes. Basically, that link, googleclassroom.wikispaces.com, is a link, so that's what you see in front of you if you see it. That link is a wiki page or a web page that I've created with all the resources for tonight. Because Google Classroom is, because Google Classroom is built on Google Apps for Education, all of us across Ontario are kind of like in our own little walled gardens, if that makes any sense. Can everyone else hear me, or is it just Barry? I can see a delay for Barry. Do you think maybe, Louise, you could just do something in the chat there to help Barry maybe log off and log back in? Thanks. Okay, so sorry. So because Google Classroom is built on these Google Apps for Education, every school board has their own domain. So my Google Apps for Education is at scdsb.on.ca. If you're in Toronto, yours would be in the Toronto domain. If you're in Simcoe Muskoka Catholic, you would be in a different domain than I am in the public board. We kind of all have our own Google domains. And Google Classroom doesn't jump domains. It stays only within one domain. So when I create my Google Classroom in Simcoe County, only Simcoe County students can join it. So what I've done to start everybody off tonight is I have a training domain, one that I use for training in Google Product. And I've created a whole bunch of generic logins, and I'm going to let everyone go in and see and look what it looks like as a student. So I'm going to show you that information in here in a second. I'm going to try to move our web tour. 1 second. This is where things might get a little hairy. Let's see. I am going to clear the check marks, and I'm going to ask everyone to put a green check mark if you see Google Classroom as a student and a video that says O1 student view on the screen. And it might take a second to pop up. Okay, looking good, Chris. Yeah, okay. Let me just put that link into the, oh, Luis is just posting that link in right now. There you go. So there's the link in the chat. For those of you whose screen stays blank or isn't quite working, click on the link in the chat. Okay, so click on that student link chat or student view chat link. Sorry, that Luis just put in the chat. Perfect. And then you'll be taken to the right page. So what we're going to do is I have a 7-minute video here, and that's quite a long video, I recognize, but because of these internet limitations, this is the best way to show you and give you a little view of what it looks like from a student. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a login to be able to go in and log in yourself as a student to take a look, to get a feel for what it looks like. So I'm going to quiet down for, not talk for 7 minutes, and hopefully you can watch this video. And I'm going to clear the check marks, and then I'm going to ask you to put a check mark when you come back from watching the video. That way I know you're done. And then what we're going to do is have a discussion about what we see as the opportunities and the capabilities, but I want you to see the kind of the big picture from the student point of view before we start talking about opportunities and possibilities for using the tool. So I am going to bite my tongue for 7 minutes, and everyone, you can watch it, the video right on the screen in front of you, or if you're using the link, then you can click on that link and watch the video in that window. Okay, I'm going to be quiet for 7 minutes. When you're finished watching the video, please click the green check mark. Okay, have fun watching the video. Okay, so I'm just looking for a green check mark when you're finished watching that video. It looks like most people have finished. So I'm hoping that that gave an overview of the Google Classroom. Not, we're going to go through each from the teacher point of view, step by step, and I'm going to give you a code to get into it as a student to take a look. But any thoughts, questions, comments right off the bat from an overview from the student point of view? You can either raise your hand if you want to grab the mic, or you can throw things in the chat. Questions, comments, observations. Does it remind you of anything? Things that you think it would work well for, or it might help with in a classroom? Yeah, absolutely, Sarah. I agree. It's that same kind of stream where it's pushing things down. No, Melissa, there's no turn it in feature embedded into it. You could have them, you could submit them separately into turn it in, but not embedded within it. Any other thoughts or comments? Yeah, and even before then, Lisa. So Lisa's asked if it's, as soon as the assignment is done, is it shared with the teacher? Even as they start working on it, you can see it. You don't necessarily have the editing rights for it, but you can see it, and then once they've turned it in, they've given you the editing rights to it then. So yeah, right once they start working. So I've had my students work on, this past semester, all of their blog posts that they wrote, they did drafts in there first, so that I could go in and provide edits or comments and suggestions, and then we worked towards by the end of the semester that peers were giving them their feedback, and then they copied and pasted their final version into their blog program to post the blog. Yeah, excellent for the feedback component, absolutely, and it's nice to be able to see what they've been working on. Right now, Trish, that is a huge limitation. Right now it's just one teacher. They can join as a student, but not as a teacher. Aaron, do you want to grab the mic?
Can you hear me? Perfect.
You certainly can.
It seems to me that it combines a lot of the capabilities of both regular traditional Google Sites and Edmodo. Is that right?
Absolutely. So it has that same kind of, like someone, who was it, Sarah, I think, talked about the social media aspect of it. So it pushes it puts the most recent things at the top and pushes things down, much like Edmodo does, much like Facebook does, right? And Twitter, how they push things through a stream like that. And there is that chat and discussion function right now as it stands. Now remembering Google Classroom is a very new product, but right now the discussion and the sharing in Edmodo is richer. They can put in links and photos and that kind of stuff easier, but Google Classroom is getting better and better every week. Every month. Last week or 2 weeks ago, they came out with their Google Classroom app for Android and iOS. In the past, you could always access Google Classroom from a web browser on a tablet, but their app allows you to easily submit photos for assignments now. So they're getting better and better as they go. And it absolutely is very similar, except it's taking all that really rich feedback possibilities and creation aspects of Google Drive and combining that with the social media component of Edmodo. Is there a feature to post multiple files for students to download, print, to take notes in class? Yep, you can make an announcement and just add a Google Doc with viewing only rights, and then they could either save that same, they can make a copy of that Google Doc into their own Google Drive that they could edit, or they could print it. Sorry, Aaron, did I cut you off? Go ahead. I apologize.
Not at all. No. It was just a comment on what you just said there. I know a lot of teachers typically are a little bit, it takes them a little bit of time to become familiar with this type of thing. So whereas we're talking about Google Classroom now, a lot of colleagues of mine are just starting to create their own websites. So a lot of them are using Google Sites to create classroom websites. What are the differences between a Google Classroom and just going through Google Sites to create a classroom site?
So that's a great question. So your web page is, and I think in a perfect world you have both going together, and you have your website as your static sharing of files for your students, if that made any sense. So like if you're going to have all of your lessons from Unit 1 linked down, you could put all of those, you could post them in Google Classroom, and that's great, but they're going to get pushed further and further and further down, and then finding access to them later is difficult. But you can post them in your site so that they can access them at any point in time, all in an orderly fashion. And so it's, I see that your website as your kind of more organized, static. Yeah, it might be, Melissa, except if they're not going to have to go back and get them. Like if you're expecting them to have those lessons right there that day, then you can post them in there, and they would only need like the last couple of days because they're saving them themselves. It depends on what works best for you and for your students. If they're submitting any assignments off of them, then you want them to do it in Google Classroom. You could even make it so that their notes are assignments and you can see the notes they're doing. It's up to you how far you want to take that. But yeah, your site would be like, your website would be like your static. I picture that as where the teacher's pushing information, right? And then in your Google Classroom, it's kind of more of a fluid day-to-day. Oh, okay. Any other thoughts before we get the chaos ensues? Okay, so here's what I'm going to, oops, someone's got the mic.
Oh, sorry, I think that's me, sorry. I just have a question. Oh, I've just lost it. Sorry.
No, I can hear you.
Just distracted me. This is very hard to manage both. If I think of it, I'll talk again. Sorry.
Sounds good. No, okay. Okay, so on the bottom of this page, below the video, on the screen that we see here, you can see a whole list of email accounts. You can see that they start, so the first one is 01 student at teacher. This is going to be chaotic, but if you want to see what Google Classroom looks like as a student, this is the way to do it. Okay, so the first one is 01 student at teachercaldertraining.com, and then it goes all the way down to, and I've actually added more than 24 now just in case. Do you see the page in the middle where Google Classroom as a student? And then as a video, and then if you scroll below the video, you see for testing as a student in today's session. So here's the process. I'm going to number everybody in the classroom. I'm going to give you a number, 1 to whatever we'll go up to today. And you are each going to go to Google Classroom and oops. And you're going to go to Google Classroom and not be logged into your own Google account. Does that make sense? If you want to see what this looks like as a student, you're going to log out of your own Google account and use one of these Google accounts. And the link that you're going to is in the chat. And then you're going to use the email account that I'm providing you to log in. So if I gave you, so Aaron's going to be number 1 because he's right at the top there. So he's going to be 01 student at teachercaldertraining.com. Aaron, A-R-I-N, is going to be 02 student at teachercaldertraining. Christine will be 03. Helena will be 04. Whoa, that was trippy. Number 5 just disappeared. Janet will be 05. Jennifer B will be 06. Jill is 07. Joyce is 08. Julita is 09. Kim is 10. Chris is 11. Chris 3, number 2 is 12. Lucia is 13. Lisa is 14. Maddie is 15. Mara is 16. Melissa is 17. Nancy is 18. S. Fair is 19. Sarah P. is 20. Sheila C. is 21. Susan is 22. Trish is 23. And Vienna is 24. And everyone's password is the same. And it's going to be Jack Rocks. So your login is the number I gave you. So say I was 01 student. Yes, if Helene comes back, she'll be 25. 01 student at teachercaldertraining.com. That's your login. Your password is Jack Rocks. He he he. And the site that you're logging in on is classroom.google.com. When you get there, you're going to see a plus sign at the top right. And you're going to use the join code that I'm going to type in here. Join code 2W6PZBC, just like in the video. And then you're effectively in the classroom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay here in the chat. I'm going to answer questions, troubleshoot with people as they struggle to get in. And then I'm going to ask you to come in and put a green check mark once you're into the classroom. Yep, absolutely, Chris. So you're going to go to, I'm just going to go through the process again. So folks are going to classroom.google.com, what I just posted in the chat. And when you get there, your login, and Chris, you are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You're 11 student at teachercaldertraining.com. And then your password is Jack Rocks. When you get there, there's a plus sign at the top right, and then your join code is 2W6PZBC, and then you would be logged in to my Google Classroom as a student. So I'm going to go through now and answer a few more questions. Joyce has your own Google Classroom set up. Yeah, so you can go and play in your own if you would like. If you would like to see my Google Classroom as a student, then you're going to have to log out of your Google account and log back in with the one I gave you. It's entirely up to you. If you don't need to go in and see it as a student because you already have access to your own, then by all means, just stick with your own and you can play in there. Awesome. Esfair, that is great. Esfair, do you have a first name? Well, I know you do. Sorry, that was a silly question, but you know what I mean. Sarah, thank you. In Lake Flynn. Awesome, Aaron. How's everybody else doing? So the quite a few that are in, that's great. Great, great, great. And I'm going to start getting email notifications soon as everyone joining in. And under the students, so I can, wow, look at this. So I can see that student 1, student 2, student 6, student 10, student 16, 17, 20, 22 are all in. That's great. Oh, and they're multiplying. Excellent, excellent. Yes, password is Jack Rocks.
Jacqueline, Sheila C. is having some trouble.
Okay, So, Sheila C. Going to go to, it's true, Kim. Where am I? Google. Okay, 1 second here, Sheila. Sorry, I'm just getting a link. Okay. So the link that you're going to is classroom.google.com. I just posted it in the chat. When you get there, your login is going to be the email. So I'm just going to do a quick count here and find out. Or Sheila, do you remember what number you were? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Oh, 21. Awesome. Oh, good, good, good. Let me know if you get stuck somewhere. There's a little plus sign at the top right. Ooh, look at all of the students in there now. Sorry if you hear some funny noises in the background. I'm dog sitting my parents' crazy dog. And decided to go berserko. How's everybody doing? I'm seeing lots of green check marks. That's good, that's good. And once you get in there, feel free to comment and to play around. You can't mess it up. It's just nobody's classroom. And you put it in like this, Christine. It's possible I spelt something wrong or someone changed it on me. So, okay, Joyce, did you try logging in with one of the accounts I gave you? Okay, Maddie, that's good. And it won't accept it. Let's try a different number, Joyce. Why don't you try 27 student at teacher Calder training, I'm putting it in the chat here, .com, and then the password is Jack Rocks. Oh, yeah, check. Thanks, Janet. Great point. Make sure that there's no K in Jack Rocks. Jack stands for Jacqueline, J-A-C-L-Y-N. And to put there's no K there, so it's just Jack Rocks. What should you be seeing? When you get in, Sheila, you will see, kind of like that video had, you're going to end up in a stream, and it's going to say OTF Google Classroom for Beginners, January 2015. It's got a red bar across the top and a spider's web, cool picture. I hope no one's really terrified of spiders or that freaks them out, sorry. I can change that if there is. Actually, maybe I could do that in a second. And then you'll see student 4 has made an announcement at the top that just says hi. And then below that there's an assignment number 3. And then that is what you see when you come in. And people are, and I can tell that people are playing with this, which is great. This is exactly what I'm hoping for. OTF, sorry, Luis, I just said OTF. I was reading your name. Am I logged in anywhere as a student? No, but I can be. Do you want me to be?
I only ask because if we switch out a web tour, but I don't know how many people are perhaps using the web tour space to access, or I think everybody clicked on your link in the chat and will have themselves in through a separate browser, but we could put a screenshot up on the whiteboard of what
sure.
people should be seeing.
I can do it. Like. I could even share my screen.
You could, although to be honest, seeing some of the people getting bumped in and out, I think that might be a problem tonight from the connection standpoint. But screenshots are super easy.
Yep.
I'm going to click back to the whiteboard and put in a new page.
Okay. I got
and when you're ready, when you're ready, let me know.
Yeah. Okay. I'm doing it. I'm 24 students, so I might be stepping on someone's toes. Sorry if I am. I'm going to go in. I'm going to join. I need a join code. Where did I put it? Here it is.
The join code is, where did it go? 2W6PZBC.
You're good. What would I do without you, Luis?
Let's not go there.
Oh, okay.
Vice versa, vice versa. Okay, that's good to know. Is Firefox your default browser, Erin?
Oh, Erin, thank you, thank you, thank you. That is usually part of my spiel when we're doing Google stuff. I'm so sorry. Google products definitely usually work in other browsers, like Internet Explorer, like Firefox, like Safari, but they work the best in Chrome all the time. That's awesome, Joyce. Thank you. So I apologize for not having said that in the at the beginning. Erin, thank you very much for pointing that out. And Jill, give me 1 second. And Janet, I'm just going to post this picture here. Or not? How do I?
Are you using the screenshot tool from the whiteboard tool strip?
Whoa! I have no idea what I just did. Am I still in the classroom? Okay. Oh, yeah, here we go. I just need to make it a bit, oh, that's trippy. I haven't done this before.
Something new. You can resize that as well if you only want to capture a certain part.
That was fun.
And when you click
OK,
you have to click Enter. So over the whiteboard space so you can position it, and when you hit Enter it should drop down for all of us to see.
Okay. Like that?
I think it's coming. I see all of us having a little lag. Yay, there it is.
Oh, it kind of moved.
That's okay. I'm going to move it again.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. Okay.
Okay, so those who are having problems getting in, we have, let me take a look, Janet. Still looking for a spider web. Is this a level capability? No, so part of what I'm going to show you is how to change the theme. And they have like 15 or 20 preset themes in that. So if you're taking a look at the picture on the whiteboard right now, you see it's a spider web, like artistic picture, and the spider. And that's just one of their themes. And it gives you the red bar and that. So I'll show you how to change that as a teacher after. Who else is having problems getting in? Jill, any luck? So it does not take you to the classroom. So you clicked, so you went to, are you logged into your own Google account, Jill? Okay. And you went to, oops, I just spelled Google with three O's. And you went to that link there that I just posted in the chat, Jill? And what are you seeing when you get there? Oh.
Okay, if the link's not working when you click on it, Jill, you can just go into your browser and type in classroom.google.com.
Oh, so what's happening is the links aren't working. Okay, so take the link that I've just pasted again. Oops, not that one, sorry. Take the classroom.google.com and copy it and paste it into the top of your browser. I see what's going on now. It's that link thing you're talking about, right, Luis?
I think that might be the case. So folks, if you click on any of the links in the chat and it does not open a browser window, then you can manually type in that URL into a browser window.
Okay. Okay, so you've had some time to take a look at it as a student. I'm going to just verbally explain, hoping that most people are in. I'll continue to troubleshoot with some folks if you haven't gotten in. But I'm going to go through some of the stuff that is in there. So I can see that a couple of the students are having a discussion in the beginning, which is great. So a lot of the time their homework might be just to post create a post about something, having a conversation about something at the top of there. Then below that little discussion, I can see assignment 3. But I'm going to scroll down first to assignment number 1. And each assignment has given, or I've shown you the different rights to a Google Doc. So this one is just can view assignment number 1. Students, you as students can only view demo Google Doc number 1. You can't change that Google Doc at all. You can just read the assignment and get your information, and then you can create your own documents to respond to. In assignment number 2, it says demo everyone edit file. Every single one of you can edit that file, which means that we could all go in there and mess things up and change things around. There are some great times, and that is amazing, when you're collecting research questions, when you're collecting information together as a class. But you need a structure in place as you all go into the document for students to be able to work together on a page without deleting each other's work. A lot of the time just creating a table and assigning them lines or columns helps organize themselves. Okay, I'm going to come into the chat and check things now. Okay, Lisa. Yeah, no worries about that, Lisa. You're just in a different one of the classrooms. If you want to add, then join another classroom, then you go in, which if you wanted to join the classroom that we're in now, and you go to Home. On the left-hand side of Google Classroom, you always see 3 little lines. And those 3 little lines open up a window on the left-hand side, and it shows all of the classrooms you're connected to, but it also has Home. And if you click on Home, you go to a page that has these little tiles for every class that you're attached to. And if you want to join a new class, you hit the plus on the top right, and then you enter in the code. And the code for the classroom that we're in today is, I'm just going to copy and paste it in the chat again. There you go. And yes, there's some discussion in the chat about the wiki. The wiki with the videos that I've put in the wiki are all there forever and ever more. And even if we don't get to everything tonight, those videos aren't going anywhere. And they're step-by-step on how to set up your own Google Classroom, which we're going to get to in a second. But I just want to make sure that there's no stress that that's going anywhere, so you can really work through everything that we're working through tonight as many times as you need to in the future, over and over again. Okay. And yes, you can go into this classroom after it's done. If you remember your login and password, if you write that down, you can go in and play for sure. Absolutely. Okay, Jill, perfect. So now it's whatever number you were student at. I'm just going to type it in the chat here. So that's your login, and that's your password. That's great, Jill. It looks like you're on the right track. And then once you've put that in, you're hitting the plus sign on the right, and then that is the join code. Again, I apologize for any background noise we have in here. I have one dog off in the corner snoring up a storm, and the other one all up in my grill not wanting to leave me alone. Yes, Aaron, you're 01. Sorry, I just meant the number and then student. I'm not giving away your login. Oh, that's good, Luis. My headset is working wonders then. Okay. Any thoughts from a student's point of view once you're in here? It doesn't matter if there's 2 of you in there as 01 anyways, but yeah, you can use whatever number I did. Any thoughts about it as a student? Basically, if you put on the board in your classroom or on the wall or projector, however you do, that's okay, Chris. If you want to join our classroom right now, you can go to the 3 little lines on the top left-hand corner and click Home. And then on the top right is a plus sign. And then you can put in the join code and you'd be in our classroom. Both classrooms have the exact same stuff in it. It doesn't really matter. So basically, when you're thinking about it from a class point of view, depending on what your technology situation is, kids with phones in their hand, or a couple laptops and it's a station, or out in a lab, wherever you are, usually what works the easiest is to just put classroom.google.com on the board, or bookmark it somehow for students, and then give them the code. Just write the code on the board, and then students join themselves. There is another way to get students in, and you're going to see that in one of the videos. I'm going to show you through how you can manually add students, which can be helpful for the younger grades. So there's some opportunities there. I'm going to go through, I see a couple questions in the chat. I'm just going to take a look and see what they are. Okay, Chris is in. Janet, is there a point in the sharing when documents submitted by a student can be frozen for a summative assignment, or are they continuously dynamic by nature? Once the student hits turn in, they've lost their editing rights, and you have the editing rights, unless they hit unsubmit. Let me just think this through, sorry, the process. Who's handed me an assignment? Okay, someone's handed in assignment number 3. And if I go in, go for it, Aaron. Just while I check this out.
Just to help out, I think that the student can change the editing features. I think what the question meant was a student has an assignment where they are collaborating with others. At some point, perhaps they decide that they're finished collaborating, and they can, through the share feature, choose whether people are allowed to comment or just view or do any sort of editing whatsoever. So I think that the student has the power before they submit it, correct?
So it actually depends. Now, I'm going to have this conversation here at risk of confusing some people, only because Aaron's asking some questions about how Google Drive is working. So let me just give a quick overview, and then anyone who this is going to confuse can put your fingertips in your ears and pretend you don't hear me. Google Classroom acts like a layer over top of Google Drive, and Google Drive is your document and your file storage in the background. So Google Classroom acts like a portal to that to make things easier and more convenient for sharing and that type of stuff. If I set my assignment up and didn't put a Google Doc there, and the kids are just creating their own Google Doc, they own it and they have all the rights. If I created a Google Doc as part of my assignment and I chose the option, and you're going to see this in a second when we start watching the videos about creating assignments, you can tell it to give each student a copy of that Google Doc. The teacher owns them. Right. So at some point in time, yes and no, Janet, not necessarily. But you can ask them to download a PDF and submit it, or to hand over the rights. Whatever works for you, but that's kind of a little bit more finicky at the top. But you can click marked and then an assessed, and then it doesn't freeze them out, but it does kind of set it so that, I don't know, it doesn't really freeze them out. Sorry, that was a really kind of rough answer there. Yes, you can do that for sure, Joyce. So a great way to plan in advance is to use your Google Drive. And for those of you that haven't looked at Google Drive before, there's an archived OTF session, like a recording about Google Drive. But if you go to drive.google.com and log in and see all of your files and whatnot, you can create a Google Doc and create your assignment in there. And then, yeah, when you go into Google Classroom, you connect that to it. Yes, Luis, you can track all the changes. So even if you didn't physically freeze a kid out of their assignment, you can go to the revision history of a Google Doc, and I can look, and if that's something you're interested in doing and don't know how to do, then fire me off an email. I'm not going to have time to show you in this session, but fire me off an email and I will find out. I will send you instructions on how to check the revision history, and then you can see how the times of all the changes. So you could tell if it was past the deadline or not. Nope, doesn't matter, Joyce. It is better for assignments to be in Google Docs if you want them to be able to write on the file. It doesn't work with Microsoft Word very well because you have to download the file. So if you want to be able to do that feedback where there's commenting, a Google Doc is the best way. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to clear all the check marks. Who's ready to see the first? We're going to do a series of little videos to see how to set it up as a teacher now. Who wants to take a look now that you've been in there as a student? Okay. Okay. I'm getting the point. Got it. Okay. Oh, there's some questions? No? Okay. Perfect. Okay. I am going to go into my little web tour, find the page that we're going to do, find the next little video to watch in our next little hub. Here we go. We're going to go back to a web tour, see how that works. Everyone wish me luck with the web tour. This is where things either go bonkers or I'm going to clear all the green check marks. Who sees O2 creating your classroom on the board? And Louise just posted it in the chat. Louise rocks. Yes, Jill, question. No, don't worry. Okay, so this is a 2-minute video. Now here's just a reminder. When you go to create your own classroom, you need to log out of that student account I just gave you and log back into your school email, your school Google account. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to create a classroom from that student account, right? So you'll want your teacher account. So I'm going to bite my tongue for 2 minutes and 4 seconds. There's the video on the screen to watch, or if you want to copy and paste the link, you can do that and watch it in a different browser if you don't see it in front of you, and then a green check mark when you're done. Okay, so we're watching the video, and I will be quiet for a change. Ha ha ha. Okay. So that kind of setting up or creating doesn't really take that long once you get logged in. It really is just a matter of naming your, hitting the plus sign, create a class, naming it, and choosing your theme. Any questions or thoughts about that? We're going to look at creating the About page and putting some information in, and we're going to look at creating the different types of assignments in a second and how your students are joining. But just that kind of initial creating. Any questions or thoughts about that? Just going to wait for a couple of chats. How to change the theme. You will always see at the bottom of the theme a little light gray, when you're logged in as a teacher, it'll say change theme. No matter where you are in Google Classroom, it's always there. Sorry, Janet. That's awesome. Oh, Aaron might have just gotten booted out by accident. Looks okay. Oh, that's great for announcements and stuff. Hey, Joyce, is that what they're using it for? Cool. Neat. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities. Third time's a charm, I hope, Aaron. I see that you keep getting booed out. I'm sorry. Booted out, I'm sorry. Not booed out.